I've clicked go live, so I assume we are probably live. You never know how long it actually takes to come through. Just waiting till I get the like little eye thing where it tells you if anyone's watching.
I apologize for my squeaky chair every time I move.
Oh, don't worry. Right, I think we are actually live now. So hello, everyone. Welcome to some more Victober reading sprints. I hope you're all well and having a good Victober. We're now we're on the 19th of October, so there's still plenty of Victober left to go, but we're more than halfway through. So first, I guess let's go around and introduce ourselves for anyone who doesn't know everyone. We are four of the many hosts we have this year of Victober. So I'm Katie from Books and Things, and then should we just go around whoever would like to go next?
I'm Jess from Dickens and Docs.
I'm Marissa from Blatantly Bookish.
I'm Elizabeth from A Literary Princess.
There we go. And hello, everyone who is joining in the comments. So I think we did this last time as well. We'll probably do similar structure to last time. We'll have a chat about what we're reading, and then we'll do half an hour, 45 minutes of reading, and then we'll have a little chat. And then if we want to stay around, we'll do another reading sprint, but we can also, we don't have to. We'll see how everyone goes. So yeah, let us know in the comments what you're reading. What am I going to read this evening? I'm on chapter 5 of Fantasties by George MacDonald for Roy's fantasy prompt, which I'm enjoying. It's very strange. It's quite sort of surreal, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying how sort of nature led all the fantasy elements are. There's lots of flower fairies and tree spirits and stuff, which is quite fun. And then I have also got a poetry collection on the go, which I might read a few from, which is The London Plane Tree, Another Verse by Amy Levy, which wasn't on my TBR. Another collection by her was on my TBR, and I read it and I enjoyed it so much I immediately bought another collection of her poetry and started reading it, which I feel is a very big compliment to Amy Levy. So this is very short, and all the poems are quite short, so I might read a couple from here as well, but I'll see how I get on with fantasies. I keep calling it fantasies. I think it's fantasties, which I can't say. Yeah. What are you reading, everybody else? Elizabeth, what are you reading?
So I've got on my computer The Rich Husband by Charlotte Riddle, which I'm about 100 pages into, and it's 400 pages. And of course, I've got Hester. No, that's not Hester. Which I'm at chapter 38, and it's titled The Crisis.
Oh, drama.
And I'm very much wanting to keep going with it. And then I've got, in this collection of Oscar Wilde plays, I'm partway through the first act of An Ideal Husband, which doesn't seem to be as funny to me as some of his others, but well.
Marissa, what are you reading?
Yes, well, I haven't picked up Fantasties since the last reading sprint, so I thought I could possibly do that because it is pretty short, and I think I made a really, large dent in the reading last time. Or if I am not feeling the ebook kind of thing, I was considering listening to The Canterville Ghost, a really theatrical kind of production of it, and doing a little knitting, but I'm not sure.
Oh, I love The Canterville Ghost. That's really fun.
That is fun. And I am still working my way through The Heir of Redcliffe by Charlotte Mary Young, but it's kind of the one I've spread out over the whole month, so it's okay. And then I'm also reading some of A Pair of Blue Eyes by Thomas Hardy, so I'll probably do a little bit of both.
How are you enjoying both of them?
A lot. I'm really loving both of them. The Heir of Redcliffe is great. I feel like I need to go faster, but then I just every time I read Charlotte Mary Young, she takes a little bit more time for me. The dialogue is, I don't know, it's more involved, and I have to think about who's talking more often than in other books, which I like. I like taking things slow, but I always have this feeling I need to go fast, but I don't. And then I love Pair of Blue Eyes. I'm loving Hardy's writing. I always do.
Yeah, he is great. Right, let me have a look at what people are reading in the comments. Faye is reading The Wonderful Adventures of Mrs. Seacole in Many Lands. I really enjoyed that one. Interesting memoir. Beth is reading Jane Eyre and Hester. Good choices. James is reading A Tale of Two Cities. Another very good choice. And Molly is reading The Story of Lily Dawson by Catherine Crowe, which I have not read, but I have heard of. And I can't remember anything about it, but I remember it sounded really interesting when I heard about it, and then I didn't.
If I remember correctly, it's an adventure story. I have it on my TBR.
Is that the one about smugglers, or have I mixed it up with a different book?
I feel like it's the one about smugglers.
That sounds great. So tell us, Molly, if it is the one about smugglers, or if we're both thinking of a different book, because that sounds really fun. And Nancy is reading The Mayor of Casterbridge, Jane Eyre, and The House by the Churchyard. 3 very good books. I do really like all 3 of them. And Isla's Angel by Anthony Trollope is really, really good. That's one of my favourites. I really loved that one. It's just an utter delight. Someone is reading Hester and Our Mutual Friend. Yeah. Hello, Heather. Heather is reading The Doctor's Wife, which is good. And then Vanity Fair. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I haven't read Vanity Fair for a very, very long time. I did read it as a teenager, but I remember very little about it. So probably need to reread that one sometime. Jamie is reading The Woman in White. Very good choice. And someone's reading Jill and Lois the Witch, which is very good. And Nada is reading The Rebecca Writer, which is also really good. And The Island of Dr. Moreau. And also starting Le Fanu in A Glass Darkly, which is a really good collection. And then what else have we got? Susan is reading a memoir of Jane Austen and Hester and Sherlock Holmes, which is a great combination. Yeah. And Kai Feeble at the end of Hester. I think now we're at the end of Hester. I think a lot of people are reading on to get to the end. I've got like 2 hours left of the audiobook. No, yeah, 2.5 hours left of the audiobook. I think I'm also just about to get to the chapter called The Crisis, and I do kind of want to just finish it because I have read it before. I do remember what happens, but I do really enjoy it.
And how can you not want to finish it when the chapter's called The Crisis?
Like, I know, yeah.
Just wait on that.
Yeah, drama's coming. Yeah, and then and Beth also says she's reading the biography of Charlotte Bronte by Gaskell, I assume, which is really good. And then I think Marissa's just ducked out. And then someone is reading The Semi-Detached House, which also sounds interesting.
I just finished that last week and I loved it.
Good. Someone is reading The Woman in White. And then, how's your book? Struggling with The Mill and the Floss. I've been there. And reading a short story collection by George Gissing. George Gissing is one for tearjerkers. He does love a miserable story. And then, Christina's reading The Black Doctor by Ira Aldridge, which I really want to read and have struggled to get hold of. So I don't know if you are reading an ebook, Christina, or a digital edition, but if you will, please put the link in the comments, because as far as I can find out, the only way I can read it is if I go in person to the British Library, which I might do at some point, but I don't have time to do it yet. But if you manage to find it online, I'm so curious to read it. And then what else do we have? Someone reading Little Bee. Only 3 Dickens left to go. Good achievement. And someone else reading Jane Eyre, and then someone else reading Wives and Daughters and The Story of the Treasure Seekers. Yes, I love Wives and Daughters a lot. I haven't read The Story of the Treasure Seekers, but I hear very good things from Kate, I think. I think Kate has talked about that one before.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So I'm glad people are doing lots of good Victober reading. What have your highlights of Victober been so far, Elizabeth and Jess?
Yeah, go ahead, Elizabeth.
So I got to go to a museum here in Massachusetts called Old Sturbridge Village, and it's a kind of recreation of a 1830s village, and it was really fun. And there's
That
people
is very
in
cool.
period clothes, and it was just a really good time. I went with some friends from college, and we had a lot of fun. So it was just like a Victober-y thing to do.
Yes.
That sounds very good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And then for reading, I mean, I guess the highlight probably has so far been the memoirs of Sherlock Holmes, because I always love Sherlock Holmes.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good. What
And
about
I
you, Jess?
mentioned the semi-detached house is one that I read with a couple other friends, and I loved it. It was so delightful. It was just like, it almost felt like a mix of, a little bit of Jane Austen kind of feel to it, because you could tell she loved Jane Austen, but it also felt like a tiny bit of P.G. Wodehouse, like a hint to what was to come with him, and then also it felt a little bit like Trollope. I don't know. It was just like this lighthearted, really delightful story. It was so great. And we actually decided to go ahead and read the semi-attached couple because we liked that one so much.
Yes, I like the semi-attached couple even more than the semi-detached house.
Okay, good. That makes me happy.
It was great. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. She's a great writer, Emily Eden. I really like those two. Yeah, I think my highlight of Victober so far has probably been the McDermotts of Ballycloran by Anthony Trollope, which was his debut, and I finished a few days ago. Yeah, and it was really, really good. Yeah, I finished that early this week. I thought it was fantastic.
Okay, so
Really
where
good
did it
Anthony
rank
Trollope.
for you on? Sorry.
Pardon? What
Where
did
did
you
it rank for you with Trollope? Because I know you read so many of his works.
It would be relatively high. I mean, I've read 43 of his books now.
Uh-huh.
It might be in the top 10, but I also feel like maybe if I were to start writing down Trollope books in the top 10, there would be more than 10. Yeah, but we'll see. But there's just a lot of Trollope books out there that are great. But I am quite looking forward to, when I've read them all, I will do like a massive ranking, and I think that'll be really fun and satisfying, because there are just so many great books by him. Right, okay, a few more people have said they are reading. We've got more of Hester, and then Amanda's reading The Beetle, which I found really interesting. And then Caroline is reading Lady Mary's Experiences. I feel like I have heard of that one. That sounds like a sensation novel, possibly, but possibly not. It just has that title, doesn't it? And The Heir of Redcliffe, which we were just chatting about. Someone else is reading Jane Eyre and Moths by Ouida.
Moths. I love Moths.
Yeah, I really need to read Moths, because I've read a play of hers, but I haven't read any of her prose, and I do really want to.
Is so good. I need to reread it.
I've heard good things. Yeah, I'm excited for Moths. And then Nancy's reading Mr. Harrison's Confessions and Lilith. Yes, Lilith sounds very, very good. I'm kind of thinking that once I've read Fantasties, I will read Lilith at some point, because it sounds, a lot of people in the Discord were saying they'd really enjoyed that. And Aaron has just finished Can You Forgive Her minutes ago. Yeah, Can You Forgive Her is a great one. That's very good. Good Auntie Trollope. And then we've also got someone else reading The Woman in White, someone else reading Shirley. And Amanda has read The Younger Sister, which is Jane Austen's niece finishing The Watsons. That sounds interesting. Maybe I should read that, because I love the beginning of The Watsons that we have from Jane Austen, and it would be quite interesting to read her niece finishing it. And Molly has confirmed that Lily Dawson has pirates, murder, mistaken identity, lust, and betrayal. So that sounds excellent. So that, I think that is the smuggling one I was thinking about then, that I've seen. Yeah, that sounds really fun.
Too.
Okay, I need to read that at some point. Okay, shall we do some reading? So I think let's do. This is on my like banners from last time, so I assume this is what we did last time. So let's read until like 20 past whatever time it is, wherever you are, and then we can reconvene and have a chat and see what everyone's read. Sound all right? Cool. Let's do some reading then. Lovely. We have come to 20 past. How has everyone's reading gone?
Well, the edition of The Rich Husband I'm reading is missing pages.
Oh no.
And now I have to go find a new one.
That's really annoying. How many pages is it missing? Can you read it on Gutenberg, like the missing bits, or?
So I'd come across this problem already anyway. In this edition, it's on Google Play Books. And I found a different copy on Happy Trust and read the pages there, but then went back because I wanted to be able to highlight. But now there's even more pages missing.
No,
So,
that's really annoying.
Cute. That is frustrating.
That's really annoying. I think that is one problem when you're getting into the more like obscure Victorian literature, that it's really hard to find like good editions, or like whether that's digital or not, or things where everything is there, where you know everything is there.
Exactly.
It's very annoying.
Well, I am really enjoying The Heir of Redcliffe. This was a good reading for me because what's been frustrating me about it is there's a particular character that is really, really irritating to me. But I was feeling like the author liked him and was kind of promoting his behavior. And if you've read it before, maybe you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, it was just starting to bother me. And then there was a paragraph that explained how he was wrong in his thinking. And like, okay, good. We're on the same page then, Charlotte Marianne. Okay. So that was good.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
I don't know if I do, though I have read it. But I remember when I read it, I felt like I didn't like the characters that Charlotte Mary Young wanted me to like. Like I felt I was on the wrong side for a lot
Yes,
of stuff.
that's kind of the feeling I've been having. So it was nice to have that little moment of like, okay, so she doesn't think this character is perfect like I thought she thought. So that was nice.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I read a few more chapters of Fantasies, and I'm really, captivated by the world that's created and just kind of how you're swept from place to place within the world. It almost feels like a fever dream, and the imagery is just so vibrant in the last few chapters, especially with like light and shadow and darkness. And so that's really interesting.
Yeah, I also read a few chapters of Fantasies, which, I agree. The imagery is beautiful and it's so like magical and strange. It's very episodic. It's almost like in some ways it reminds me of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, but it's a much like calmer, almost. I don't know. It's not quite so absurd in some ways, but it's got that same sort of like, we go here and we see a strange thing in this fairy world, and then we go to this other place, we see this other strange thing, and we meet people as we walk around the wood, which is sort of fascinating, and I really like as a fairy tale device. I don't know if your edition has the illustrations in, Marissa, because mine doesn't, but I found some of them online and I need to look through them all because they looked really beautiful.
Yeah, I made sure to find one with the illustrations because, like in the foreword, it said that his son actually destroyed one edition because he didn't like the illustrations in it, and like he promoted this newer edition where the illustrator is his father's friend. So I made sure to get that one, but I think I might be missing a few of them in my edition.
Yeah, I'll have to look up some of the illustrations because I looked up a few online and they did look. Yeah, it was really interesting to see them. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and then I read a couple of poems from the London Plane Tree. When I got to the end of the chapter and thought I'm not going to have time to finish another chapter before we stop, I thought I'd read a few poems, which I'm really enjoying. I really like Emily Levy. She's very good. And some of her poems are just like 5 lines, which is quite nice sometimes for a satisfying, very bit of brevity, which I quite like. And then I was going to see what other people were saying. Oh yes, Christina, thank you. I did check and I have got the link for the Black Doctor, so now I can read that on my phone, which I'm very excited about. I've been meaning to read that for ages. So Ira Aldridge was a really interesting man. So he was an actor, and he was a Black man born in America and moved to Britain in his like early 20s, became a important actor, and also a playwright. And he used to adapt plays written by other people and make the Black characters in them more sympathetic. So he adapted this French play called The Black Doctor into English, and then like changed the presentation of the character he was playing. And he did the same with some other plays as well, which I think is really interesting. So I'm looking forward to trying
That's
that.
unusual. What a fascinating.
Yeah. And he was like he was a very well-respected Shakespearean actor in the Victorian period, and was in a lot of Shakespeare plays and stuff like that, which is very interesting. So I think the Black Doctor will be a really interesting play to read. I do love to read plays. And then Anne-Marie just said Victober is awesome. Thank you. We agree. The letter's very good. Elaine has been reading Ruth. Yes. Ruth is so great. I was thinking about Ruth the other day and that I should reread it. Because I love Elizabeth Gaskell so much, but I feel like I've read North and South and Wives and Daughters like lots and lots of times. And I feel like I've read Cranford twice, but then her other works, I feel like I should go back and read them all again. And then lots of George MacDonald. Yeah. Fantasties and Lilith and The Light Princess, which I would also like to read. I think that's one of his kids' ones, I think, his children's stories, which I'd like to read.
I read it earlier this month. It was really good.
Oh, that's good. I think that's one of his more famous works. Like, there was a stage adaptation of it on in London a few years ago that I missed. But it sort of has stayed around as a fairy tale, I think, more than his other books, maybe. De Profundis by Oscar Wilde. Yes, I would like to read that. And then, Lane is agreeing. Ruth is so good. And Faye has just read the chapter of Mrs. Seacole, where Mrs. Seacole met Florence Nightingale, which I remember. I feel like Mrs. Seacole didn't have a super high opinion of Florence Nightingale. I'm trying to remember, or maybe Florence. I think Florence Nightingale didn't want her on her nursing force, and she was unimpressed by Florence Nightingale's lack of interest in her. But it was a while I read ago that I read that, so maybe I misremembered. And then, oh wait, I missed Someone Has Finished Hester. Very exciting. Yes. And Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is very good. Always super fun. Nancy is doing well on her 3 very good books. And then someone else is reading Hester, and it's getting dramatic, which is very exciting. I'm glad people have been enjoying Hester, because I do really love it. And Paolo is reading Vendetta by Mary Corelli. I've heard of Marie Corelli though, but I can't remember. But I feel like I haven't heard of that book, but I can't think which one I've heard of.
I haven't heard of Vendetta, but I've read Thelma.
Maybe that's the one I've heard of.
And I have a friend who read Ziska, which is involving Egyptology and stuff.
I like that that's 3 novels by her that all are women's names ending in A. That feels quite specific. But kind of cool. Okay. And then Nada read Green Tea in Grass Darkly. I like green tea, but I feel like it's not as strong as like Camilla, which I think is in A Glass Darkly. But I think those are the only 2 I've read from that collection, to my knowledge. Someone else has been reading, we have Vanity Fair and Heart of Darkness, Making Progress. And someone's been reading Daniel Deronda and Idylls of the King. Yes, I would be interested to read Idylls of the King, because I read Tennyson's In Memoriam a while ago, and I found it interesting, but I feel like I found it a little bit repetitive, but I would like to try some more by Tennyson. Nada would like to know, on a scale of 1 to Hardy at his most miserable, how depressing is the Netherworld?
I don't know that one.
It is quite miserable. I would say not quite as miserable as Jude the Obscure.
More test level.
Yeah, more miserable than Tess in the extent of more misery to more people, but not necessarily as much misery to just one person. But the Netherworld is it's fantastic, but it's lots of different characters, and all of them are thrown a lot of different pain. But it's really, really good, though. It's really, really good. It is quite miserable, so it depends on how you're feeling in life, you know. But it's
Love
really
that on a scale of 1 to Hardy. That's great.
Yeah, I think that is the misery scale. Well, Jen, the librarian, for her Thomas Hardy read along, when she has been doing videos introducing all the Thomas Hardy books, she has been ranking them on a Thomas Hardy misery scale,
Nice.
which I just really, really enjoy. Of like, is this? I think it's like 1 to 5, so it's like, is this a 5 level, like a completely miserable, or is this just like a 2.5? You know, just a bit miserable, which I just find really fun, because I think it's useful to know, because some of Hardy's books are deeply, deeply upsetting, and some of them are just like a bit sad.
Yes. Which, can I ask, a pair of blue eyes, like, I do like to gear up for how tragic I'm in for. Where does that one fall? Do you know?
Oh, I can't remember what rating Jen gave it.
I'll look it up and see. So far,
Yeah.
it's medium. But
Yeah, I'm trying to think what I would give it. Yeah, but I do like it. And then, yes, Iola's Angel is so good. It really is such a comfort. Like, I feel like a lot of Trollope's books are real like comfort kind of reads, and I feel like Iola's Angel is definitely one of them. So I've been reading Dracula, and Heather has read 10% of The Doctor's Wife. I can't remember what has happened 10% into The Doctor's Wife.
You've met Sigismund Smith. That's about it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, you haven't got very far into the main meat of the story, have you? I do love Victorian literature, obviously, but I feel like they do like a long setup, don't they? They like you're not going to know what this book is about until at least chapter 12.
Well, that's what Charlotte Riddle has just done in The Rich Husband. She spends 100 pages on people who are not the main characters and who are all dead by the time the story actually gets going.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it does make it hard to explain the premises of some Victorian novels. Like, sometimes when I want to explain what it's about, I'm like, well, it's about this, but is it a spoiler to say it's about this, because it's such a long time before you get to what it's about? But yeah, it's fun. Let's talk about reading poetry. So I think it's good to read poetry slowly. I feel like I usually read poetry a lot slower than I read prose. Sometimes I just read it aloud, and that helps, but not when I'm doing reading sprints. And then Faye was asking if anyone has read The Wonderful Visit by H.G. Wells. I haven't. Read some other things by him, but not that one. But it sounds kind of fun. Someone else is reading Carmilla, which is great. Someone else is reading Lilith. I feel like lots of people have been reading Lilith so far. Yeah. And then what else do we have? Well, Lady Mary sounds delightful. I want to read about Lady Mary and her friend riding bicycles and talking about ghosts.
Yeah.
That sounds okay. I'm gonna have to look that one up. And Aaron is just catching up with Hester. And Faye has, yes, I did remember correctly that Mary Seacole was underwhelmed with Florence Nightingale. Lisa has been knitting while listening to The Woman in White. That sounds like a very good Victorian activity. Jude is a brave one for your first Hardy. I love Jude Deepskier, I do, but it is deeply, deeply upsetting. It's a whole load of misery in that book. But
I wish we could give you a hug.
Yeah,
it's a hard one.
It was my first Hardy. It was also my first audiobook, I think.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I think it took some of the misery out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, probably.
Interesting. I sometimes feel like I find audiobooks more miserable. Like, because I read faster physically than when I'm listening. So sometimes when I'm listening to a book, I find it like all the more emotionally affecting. Definitely had a few audiobooks that I feel like have been much more like emotionally but like emotionally hurt by than if I had read them. I don't know. But it probably depends on the narrator as well.
Yeah, and I think it depends how long you dwell in it, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you read it pretty quickly if you spend a long time listening.
Yeah.
I get more affected by upsetting scenes in audiobooks because I read faster than the audiobook narrator reads. So I can just like, okay, quick skim. And meanwhile, this person's over here languishing over the death of whoever. I don't think I could do Jude on audiobook.
Yeah. I think it was because it was my first one. I wasn't like used to listening to audiobooks yet, so I didn't just like take it all in the way I was supposed to. I kind of like glossed over things and missed some stuff. I don't know. I feel like listening to an audiobook is a bit of a skill.
I think it probably also, I think it probably depends a lot on like how your brain works and how you read and what you're doing while you're listening to an audiobook. Like, and sometimes the audiobook themselves. Like, there's definitely some audiobooks I've listened to that I find it much harder to concentrate than others, and others I just can immediately like be in the story. But yeah, and then a few people have replied on a pair of blue eyes. So
thank you.
It was a 1 out of 1.5.
I can totally handle it. It'll be great.
And Heather says, not completely tragic. Yeah.
Good. That's kind of the level that I like to live in with Hardy, but I do visit the others, but I'll come back to the medium.
Sometimes I think the misery is good in Hardy. I don't know. I think he uses the misery for a purpose.
Yeah.
So I feel the same with Gissing. I feel like both Hardy and Gissing are always like usually have a social critique purpose in the misery, which I like. Every now and then Hardy does just not know how to end a novel and kill some people. He does like to do that, you know. But most of the time, I feel like he's got a real purpose behind the tragedy, and something he wants to say about how hard life is. So I kind of
that's true. That does make a difference. And his writing's so beautiful that it feels okay. If you know you're in for tragedy, but it can be a beautiful experience, then it's not so bad.
Yeah.
I still think he didn't have to go quite that hard with Jude.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Not too much.
And then, someone is rereading Wives and Daughters, which is the best, and reading The Return of the Native, which I really like. I like The Return of the Native a lot. It's good.
Nice.
That's interesting that Vendetta is out of French and English, has then been republished in French. It's pretty cool. Yeah, Jude has a rough time, but it is great. It's great. Yes, Caroline, I know the one you mean. Probably.
Okay, I don't think I've hit it yet, so I will prepare myself.
Okay, but it is good. Yeah. Good old Thomas Hardy. I do like Thomas Hardy. I'm really enjoying rereading them all for Jen's read along, because it's most of them I had only read, well, a good chunk of them I had only read once. So it's quite fun to read them, and it's interesting to read them in order as well. Because I think I thought Far From the Madding Crowd was like a later on in his career book, but actually it was quite early considering how good it is. So it's quite interesting to go through them in order. Yeah. I love Judy Obscure and I will defend it.
Yeah, I know it's miserable, but it's a good book.
It is good, and I know that Kate hates, and that's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's okay. Kate likes George Eliot a lot more than I do, but you know, yeah, I think Hardy's misery has more of a point than George Eliot's, but anyway, that's fine.
I think that's actually fair. I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the end of The Mill on the Floss versus the end of some of Hardy's books.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, some of Hardy's misery has less of a purpose than others. There's at least one of his books where I'm like, what did you do that ending for, Thomas Hardy? Didn't you have another idea? Which I won't say which one, because I feel like it's probably a spoiler. But there's a few like that. But I do, in general, I do love Thomas Hardy. But I totally understand why he's not for everyone. Not at all. You know. which is fair. And then Amanda was saying, has FOMO here about everyone's reads. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. I think I always find this in Victober when hearing what everyone else is reading, I always just want to read everything, and there's
Yeah.
never enough time to read everything. And it's so interesting hearing, other books people are reading, and the books I want to reread, and the books I want to read for the first time, and the obscure things I want to try. But you know, it's only so much time in the day. Right, should we do a bit more reading? Can you guys stick around? Don't worry if you can't. So should we do another 35 minutes again? This is what we apparently did last time, because that's the banner I have set up already. So we'll do like another 35 minutes till 15:15, and then we can have another chat, and then we'll finish up. And I will.
I might have to sneak out in the middle there, but continue if I.
Fine. Do not worry. No worries. I'll chat to you all in a bit. past. Oh, that's not the right banner that I put up, is it? There we go. How has everyone's reading gone? I read a couple of chapters from Fantasties, and then I read quite a lot of poems from Amy Levy, because I've only got like 4 or 5 poems left now, so I will finish this evening before I go to bed, I think. But it's really good. I really like Amy Levy's poetry. I think she's just great. Lots of very sad poems, but
did she do anything other than poetry, or just poetry?
So she wrote a few novels, short novels. So she wrote The Romance of a Shop, which is really good, and it's about some sisters setting up a photography shop. And then she also wrote Reuben Sachs and Miss Meredith, her other 2 novels. Well, they're probably all, I don't know if they might all be novellas, they're all quite short. And then she also wrote a few poetry collections. Yeah, but she's really good. How was all your reading, everyone?
It's good. I just read more of Heir of Redcliffe. I think I got about, the chapters are always long in Charlotte Mary Young, so it's like, I think I read 3 chapters altogether, but I'm liking it more and more. This is really good because I've been stretching this out so much, and it has been the one in the back burner that I haven't really gotten into as much, so now I feel more invested and I'm really liking it.
That's good. Oh, Marissa, you're muted. I can see you, but I can't hear you.
I read a few more chapters of Fantasties. And yeah, it's just progressing. There are a lot of little threads of things that seem familiar to me, like little tropes. I just finished a giant like story within the story that he's like reading from the library in the fairy palace. And yeah, it's really interesting.
I'm on the second to last chapter of Hester now.
Oh, exciting.
Almost there.
Yes.
Drama.
And I won't say anything because I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't.
Yeah. That's exciting though. Yeah, someone else is reading Fantasties as well in the comments. Yeah. It is very interesting because I think it's always interesting when you read those sort of like early books from a genre and you can see like seeds of other things in there, which is really fun. There's a chapter early on in Fantasties where he encounters lots of flower fairies. And as a kid, I really loved, there was a, I can't remember who it's by now, who created the flower fairies, and there's all these beautiful illustrations and poems and texts from the like 1920s. And I don't know whether, I think it's 1920s or early 20th century. And I don't know whether she was inspired by George MacDonald or not. But like the description of the daisy fairy in Fantasties sounded so similar to the daisy fairy from the flower fairies that I did wonder, which I thought was kind of fun. Yeah.
Is Lilith like Fantasties? Is it similar kind of fantasy? I don't know anything about Lilith.
I don't either. I think it is
don't know.
a fantasy one. Because he didn't just write fantasy, because I've read Alec Forbes of Howglen, which is like a realist coming of age story about life in like small town Scotland, which was really good, but very different. But I think Lilith is one of the fantasy ones. Yeah. Elaine finished Ruth.
Oh.
Yes. Ruth is so good.
Ruth finisher, good job.
Yeah.
That's one of the ones I cried in, was Ruth.
Ruth, yeah. I cry at many Victorian novels, though. I'm definitely like, I think some people very rarely cry at books, and I'm like crying at all the books.
I need to read more Victorian literature.
Yeah, this is Seacole. It's great. And then Jill has started Cousin Henry. I really like that one. Yeah, that's a good Trollope one. And then is reading more of Idylls of the King. That sounds exciting. Maybe it sounds like that has more of a story than In Memoriam, so maybe I should try that. What else have we had? Lady Mary, a lady with a revolver and spiritualism. Well, this sounds very exciting. I think we all need to go away and read Lady Mary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who is it by?
I can't remember now. This did come up earlier.
Yeah.
I may have to look it up.
I've been trying to take notes of all of these recommendations, and
I've
I know.
been failing at taking notes.
You
Yeah.
really good ones.
Lana read the first chapter of Heart of Darkness. Yeah. I mean, I read Heart of Darkness at university, and I'm not sure I still know what to think of it, having studied it. So, but definitely an interesting one to read for us as challenge. And then, yeah, Mill and the Floss. It is tricky.
Yeah.
I think George Eliot is really for some people, and not for a lot of people. And there probably are some people for whom she's medium, but I think she is a bit of a Marmite author.
Yeah. I still don't know what to make of her. I loved Middlemarch, but that was years ago. And then I hated Mill and the Floss, and I just won't pick anything else up by her, I guess. I don't know.
I liked Mill and the Floss, but there is more of a hearty feel to it, if I can say that without being spoilery. And I had just finished Romola, and it was so long. It was good. I liked it. But yeah, I really love George Eliot, but I have to really use my brain when I read her.
I've never tried her on audiobook, so maybe sometime I'll do that. Because some authors are just quite different on audiobook. Sometimes you get a different like steer on them, and sometimes that works better for me. So I don't know. Oh, Nada said she wasted the reading, so trying to choose an audiobook. That is easily done. Sometimes it's hard to it's hard to decide. Yeah. Reread The Squire Story by Elizabeth Gaskell. Yeah, it's a good one. And yes, Isla's Angel is lovely. Such a delight. An Eye for an Eye is well worth read. That's a slightly different trollop. That's a less cozy trollop, but it's really good. It's really good. Another has got into the story now of the Doctor's Wife 30% of the way through.
She's finally aware.
Yeah, you're finally into the story. Yeah. Good. Yes. Okay, we have an author for Lady Mary is
thank you.
Maria Jocelyn. Ada.
We'll add that to
me too.
what I was typing out here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maria Jocelyn.
Loved Middle Arch and hated Mill and the Floss. Yeah. I think the Mill and the Floss is like the most Marmite George Eliot book, I would say. Probably.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Hardy is really worth
No.
and some Hardy is very sad and therefore a bit like hard to get into, but I think his writing style is very fluid, so that makes it easier. Like he's not super dense, and I think some of his books like Far from the Madding Crowd or The Return of the Native are like easier to get into and lower down on the misery scale. Far from the Madding Crowd especially I think is a really good place to start with Hardy.
And
it's just really good.
And George Eliot is more dense, because I feel like Hardy's writing is what's always carrying me through, and George Eliot, it's more of just this overall feeling of the massiveness of her novels that I like. But yeah, Hardy's easier for me to read.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, Milena has
Yeah.
joined us. Hello, Milena. And says she also loves George Eliot, but yeah, her book's very challenging. Yeah. And then... oh yeah, I feel like reading The Mill and the Floss, if it was one of your first adult classics, it would be quite a daunting one. Yeah.
I read it pretty young and I loved it. And then I read Silas Marner and was like, I don't know, maybe this was just a fluke that I liked The Mill and the Floss, but it actually now keeps getting lower and lower rated every time I reread it.
Interesting. Yeah. So I used to watch a lot of screen adaptations of 9th century books as a teenager, and I saw the adaptation of Middlemarch and really liked it, and then I read Middlemarch and really didn't like it because I just can't get on with George Eliot's writing. But then I saw the adaptation of The Mill and the Floss as a teenager, and I hated it, but I still read it when I was in my 20s because I thought surely they must have changed something. Surely that can't actually be how the book ends. but I was wrong. So I shouldn't have read it because I knew already that I didn't like the story. Whereas Middlemarch, I did. I don't enjoy reading Middlemarch because I struggle with George Eliot's writing and it's not for me. But I think she's doing some really interesting things that I can like find interesting historically, or can respect what she's doing even if it's not fun for me. But the Mill and the Floss, I don't know. I don't understand her decisions, but hey, it's fine. Yeah. Oh, and Aaron is starting Adam Bede tomorrow. I didn't like Adam Bede either, but I feel like more people do like that. So, I don't think anyone needs to listen to my recommendations on George Eliot. We've been asked what our favourite Dickens is. My favourite is Our Mutual Friend. I don't know why I hesitated there, like I hesitate. My favourite is Our Mutual Friend, which is the best. That's what I'd recommend.
My favorite is also Our Mutual Friend.
Good choice.
Yes, mine too.
Mine too, to be honest. But I haven't read all of them, so I might have another favorite. We'll see.
That's true. I haven't read all of them either. And I do have to reread David Copperfield.
I
really loved that one when I read it, but it's been so long.
I have like a tier system in my brain for Dickens because I've read all of them multiple times, and top is like A Christmas Carol is also tied for favorite, but it's not really a novel, so but yeah, Our Mutual Friend and that, and then high up there is David Copperfield and Little Dorrit, Dombey and Son, Great Expectations. It's a very stacked
big time. Yeah. I feel like my top tier is Our Mutual Friend, Dombey and Son, Little Dorrit, Bleak House, Great Expectations.
Yeah,
that's also quite a big top tier, but those are probably my like top tier Dickens.
Yeah.
But Our Mutual Friend is the best. I feel like Our Mutual Friend it's not his most famous, but I feel like the people who have read Our Mutual Friend usually rank Our Mutual Friend really highly. And I do think because it was like his last finished book, it's like the sort of culmination of lots of stuff, which is really fun.
Perfected his craft.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And then back to the Hardy chat. Monica said, I'm surprised that Hardy is not more divisive amongst fans. Yeah. I think he probably is divisive in some. But some of his books, like I think Jude the Obscure is quite divisive. But it's true that actually Hardy has a lot of appreciation despite the misery. But I think that's maybe because I don't know. I don't find Thomas Hardy a really depressing writer because I think he often has quite sad endings, but there are often like it's not just misery all the way. Like there are often moments of like real beauty or happiness or like human connection. So that they never just feel miserable to me. And I feel like because he's doing a lot of social criticism with the stuff that's miserable, it feels like he's angry rather than he's like wallowing in the sadness of everything. Like it feels like he thinks the world could be better if the systems were better. And so that sort of feels not exactly optimistic, but I don't know.
He seems to have more faith in people somehow. It doesn't feel doom and gloom. I like to think of it as like painfully beautiful writing. It's just so good it hurts.
Yeah.
He's also just very readable. Like he's easier to read. Unlike George Eliot, who some of those you're reading it and you're like, wow, I'm miserable and I have to really work to figure out what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I really like Thomas Hardy. And yes, start with Far from the Madding Crowd, not Jude, would be my advice when it comes to Thomas Hardy. Jude is maybe my favorite, but it's probably Far from the Madding Crowd. But I'll decide when I've finished doing Jen's read along. But start with Far from the Madding Crowd. That's the one to go for. Oh yes, and someone else is planning to read it this month. I hope you enjoy it. I think it's lovely. I reread Far from the Madding Crowd in September, and it was just such a delight. It was just so lovely. I'd forgotten how much I love it, and it was just so great. Even in the really sad bits, I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad I'm rereading this." It was good. Yeah. Rereading Jane Eyre after reading it as a teenager and hating it. Yeah. There's a lot of interesting reflection on power dynamics in Jane Eyre. Yeah. It's an interesting one to reread. I do think there is something quite satisfying or interesting sometimes in rereading a book that you didn't like and seeing it in a different way or knowing what to expect or I don't know. It's always interesting.
Yes. I agree. I love Jane Eyre.
And someone else, we've got some more favourite Dickens. So we've got Great Expectations, which is a very, very good favourite Dickens. Bleak House. Tale of Two Cities. Excellent, very good.
Yes.
Do it.
Enjoyed that. Yeah. Great. Gonna vote for Oliver Twist. Heather's favourites are Bleak House and Little Dorrit. Two very excellent ones. Alice's Bleak House, favourite so far.
Good.
Yeah. Yes, I hope you like Our Mutual Friend when you get there, because it is really good. Someone else reading Our Mutual Friend at the moment. Yeah, and David Copperfield. Yeah, Great Expectations are good too. Lisa says, oh, as in, do you think there's a book that must be read in a physical copy?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I think there are some books that work better on audiobook or better physically. So I think Dickens works really, really well on audiobook because of I think if you read his words on the page, sometimes his very, very long run-on sentences can be confusing. But if you listen to them spoken, then I don't think they ever are confusing. And I think Dickens works just really well on audio because he kind of wrote to be read aloud, and he's got that like narrative flow. And they're quite sort of exaggerated books in some ways, and that for me works really well read aloud. There's a couple of books I've read Villette 3 times, and the first 2 times I read it physically and absolutely loved it. The last time I read it on audiobook, and I just liked it a lot less. And I think maybe Villette is a book that doesn't work so well on audiobook, partly because Charlotte Bronte loves to drop into French for like 2 pages. And when you read it physically, you could just look at Google Translate or whatever, but listening to it on audiobook, it just washed over me, and I probably missed some stuff.
I was thinking Jane Eyre is one that I tried to listen to the audiobook and then I went back to physical. So maybe Charlotte Bronte would be an author that tends to be better with
maybe.
physical copy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I find Victorian literature in general I prefer in physical, but I'm reading Hester on audiobook and I've been enjoying that, but I am switching back and forth. I feel like it depends on the audiobook production and on you as a person listening to the audiobook and like how much you're able to get out of it.
Yeah.
I've read several, like many, actually all the Anthony Trollops that I've read mostly have been audiobooks. Because like Timothy West does a lot of them and he's so good. Yeah. So it really does make a difference if you have a really good audiobook.
Yeah.
And I think because Trollope's writing style is quite like, I'm telling you a story, that's also quite nice in audiobook.
It lends itself well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
And I mean, I think anything that uses a lot of illustrations or plays with like text on the page, some sort of poetry or something, obviously, a physical book would be needed to get that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I probably prefer reading poetry physically than listening to an audiobook for the most part. I think partly because if you're listening to poetry in audiobook, especially if it's like short poems rather than a long poem, then there's not much like space between the poems. Whereas if you read them physically, you probably read a poem and think about it for like 30 seconds before you start the next one. Whereas on an audiobook, it's just like, keeps going at you. Yeah. But I don't know. I think for a lot of Victorian books, it tends to be like whether or not an audiobook is available. I think especially for like lesser known stuff, then I'm reading it. Whether or not I read it physically on audiobook is usually like an access issue, as if there isn't an audiobook available. Yeah. I don't know. And someone was asking for recommendations of Victorian authors who write prose like Hardy's.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of Trollope books that felt like Hardy a little bit. Miss Mackenzie is one that I don't know what it was about the location or characters or something, but I don't know that it's quite as beautiful as Hardy. And then I was going to say Margaret Oliphant too. A couple of hers have felt a little bit like Hardy's to me.
I think Gaskell has a few Hardy-esque ones as well. Like I think Sylvia's Lovers and Ruth especially feel sort of on the sort of, I don't really know about the writing is similar, but I think the sort of like, I don't know, there's something about the feeling of those two books that feels quite Hardy-esque. Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought that multiple times reading different books. Like this feels like Hardy, and I have to remind myself that I'm not reading Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Aaron has taken a 20-year break from Hardy. I feel like the time has come. If the only one you read was Jude and that inspired the 20-year break, then do try some others, because they are like Far from the Madding Crowd is a really, really different vibe.
The Woodlanders is another really good one too.
Oh yeah, I love the Woodlanders. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
I also think it's important to remember that most Victorians also did not like Jude.
I mean, literally,
reading it because you're loving Victorian literature, then maybe Jude is not the best place to go necessarily.
That's true. I mean, the reaction to Jude was so strong that Hardy was like, okay, well, I'm not going to write any more novels anymore. I'll just write poetry.
Yeah.
That was how much it was hated at the time.
Right.
Which is sad.
Yeah, it is sad. Yeah. And Pazzy is listening to a Great Expectations audiobook narrated by Stephen Fry. That does sound excellent. I didn't know there was one narrated by Stephen Fry. I feel like I must read that immediately. Just cancel my other reading plans.
And I would recommend too to anyone who wants to try Dickens on audiobook that there are several free versions on LibriVox narrated by Mill Nicholson, and she is excellent. She's like a professional actress and does great voicing and everything. So that's a great free way to try it out. See if you like him on audio.
Tale of Two Cities and A Christmas Carol, also good favorites. Just looking at the rest of the comments. Someone's saying they like physical books more. Yeah, I'm a big fan of audiobooks, but I think it depends on how you like to read, and like, yeah, I also reread a lot on audiobook, which is a slightly different thing, but I really enjoy as like reading a book again, but in a very slightly different way is quite nice. Yeah. Yes, Heather, as you say, yeah, Dickens wanted to be an actor, and so he writes a bit like that, which I think is very fun for audiobook.
That's why his books make such good film adaptations too.
Yeah, I think so. They're quite theatrical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen some good stage adaptations of Dickens books as well, which is really fun. Yeah. And then Caroline has reread The Tenant of Welfare Hall.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which I guess would fill quite a lot of prompts.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
Nice job.
Yeah, I do love The Tenant of Welfare Hall. Right. I've got to the end of the comments. I feel like that's a good time to wrap it up. Done some good reading. And it sounds like everyone else is doing some good reading too. So yeah. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us. And there is Olivia's Fanner from Olivia's Catastrophe is hosting some reading spirits on Thursday, which are a Gothtober, Victober mashup. So if anyone wants to come and join that for some spooky and or Victorian reads, please do. That'd be fun. And otherwise, there may be some others. I don't know. We haven't worked it out. But yeah, that is all for now. Thanks very much, everyone, and happy reading.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.